I'm Rob, and this is the Arktika.1 VR Review by Barefoot Gaming. So perhaps one of the first things I should mention is I played this both on the HTC Vive and the Oculus Rift. I started off playing this on the Rift, but I wanted to make sure that it was fully playable on the Vive. So I think all the recordings that I'm going to be using in the gameplay will actually be me in my Vive, showing you that there is no complication as to how you move around. The reason that's important for me to say is because this is an Oculus developed game. So it works on both. You have to use Revive if you're using Vive, but that's just something I needed to get out of the way before we actually get to the rest of the review. The game takes place about 100 years in the future, and the world is covered in ice. You are clearly an advanced military unit, and you're given missions to clear out different things, save different things, retrieve different things, and on it goes. The game actually has a story mode, and if you're familiar with the Metro games at all on PC, this is made by the same people, and it really has that feel. The game starts you off kind of rolling around in a Hummer or a Hummer-type vehicle, heading towards the first base. You get there, and that's where you always go in between missions. So you have multiple floors that you can check out. Your main floor is where you always deploy from, where if you hop into your vehicle, it'll automatically drive you to where your next mission is. Then there's the ammo room or munitions room, where you can buy new weapons, new guns, new sights, flashlights, all kinds of additions. Once you pay for that, you actually have to wait for your objects to 3D print before you can pick them up in the game. In that room, you can also do target practice. You can try out your different guns in different configurations. You can pull additions off and on. So if you have a sight on one gun that you like, that you want to put on another gun, you can just swap it out. You can also paint the guns and the additions later on. And then of course there's also the top floor, which is where you get your missions and where there's a woman that kind of explains what you're doing and why you're doing going forward into the story. I should really quickly touch on the guns as well. As to the weapons themselves, they're all kind of in the handgun category. You can modify them with different scopes. They can see through thermal, put flashlights on them, and you keep them on the backs of your shoulders. So whenever you need them, you just reach back, grab them, and pull them forward. I actually found it was a much better shot just using one at a time and then doing reloads. Let's touch on reloads. The way the reloads work on some of the handguns is you drop them to your hips. As soon as you pull them back up, they're reloaded. You have one 6-shooter where you have to kind of drop it to the left, but it's all pretty straightforward and you get used to it relatively quickly. The graphics look fantastic, and instead of only having monsters, because there are monsters that come at you in this game, there's also these soldiers, and the soldiers move and think closer to what you would expect actual intelligence to be. Sometimes they mess it up, but it's still cool that if you flank them by popping into another area and they're right in front of you, they'll try to find cover in another. Same with snipers. Movement type. There is no trackpad movement for this. It is teleport only, and it is only snap to teleport locations. So you can only ever move to where you'll see a highlight of yourself. And if it shows it in blue, you have cover. If it's in orange, you have limited cover. And you'll note, again, while you're watching me play, I'm trying to use cover as much as I can, because you only have so and so much armor before you're dead. You'll run into the odd boss, but because of the teleport function, I actually didn't find them to be that difficult. It doesn't really matter if it's the big robot from level 1, or if it's somebody trying to drop bombs, or if it's whatever, because you can teleport around, as long as you remember that you want to be looking for those and try to get into a spot where you have your best shot, I really didn't find the bosses to be adding that much to the game. And let's not forget the puzzle aspects. So when you'll get to a door, for example, sometimes you'll have to try to figure out what a key code is. Sometimes you'll have to move circuitry around. Sometimes you'll have to replace breakers. So there'll be little puzzles like that after you've had kind of a gunfight and gone on and trying to get to the next area, you have to figure out whatever the puzzle is to get further ahead. So I think I touched on all the gameplay mechanics. Like I said, there's a storyline. Let's get to the actual review of Arktika.1. Price always plays into this. At $34.99 Canadian, that's what this game is going for when it's not on sale. Out of 5 freaked out monsters that don't like any light, I would give this a 4 out of 5. This is a pretty strong contender in the VR field. Some of the puzzles can be a little bit frustrating. For example, and I don't really think this is a spoiler, but the first keypad you come across, the numbers that you need are written directly beside the keypad. Oh, you think this is how they're going to explain how to enter this stuff. But the very next keypad you come across, you can look and look and look. And I actually Googled it online eventually because I got so frustrated not being able to find numbers anywhere and it not letting me move anywhere else because there were no teleports available. I couldn't go backwards. Room scale wasn't showing me anything. Turns out if you just shoot around like crazy and you blow open one of the panels in the wall, you'll actually get to a point where you can teleport into, and that is where you'll find the key code that you need to get to the last door. I also don't love the fact that every time you teleport to a different location, it tells you what direction you're going to be facing, which I found very disorienting. I understand why they do it for people that only have front-facing setups, but it's very frustrating when I'm facing one direction, I see a bad guy in front of me, and I teleport to a location, and now I'm facing him even though I would have been facing a different direction. It's very disorienting. Honestly though, if you're looking for a fun, story-driven, really pretty looking game, Arktika.1 delivers. So summing it all up, fun game, pretty game, storyline isn't super interesting. The ability to modify your guns is actually pretty cool. In fact, I would highly recommend, as soon as you can buy a flashlight attachment for your weapons, do it, because it'll get frustrating. They'll let you move ahead later on by having to shake these stupid little glow stick things that you can throw ahead so you can see where you're teleporting to, which I assume is kind of like a little bit of a puzzle as well. But I found that less enjoyable than actually using a flashlight and seeing where I'm going. That's it. That's another review for Arktika.1 by Barefoot Gaming. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure, leave us a comment. Don't forget to subscribe so you know when these things are coming out. And that's it. I'm out of here. Talk to you later. Bye.